One of the topics tonight is race in America. It's something that the U.S. has faced a reckoning with over the past year, with the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, just to name a few. My next guest has been at the forefront of all of this, calling for action. In fact, joining me tonight is Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton is an American civil rights activist who has spent much of his life fighting for African American rights. He is the founder and president of the National Action Network, and he joins me from New York. Reverend Sharpton, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you, Carol. Glad to be with you.
Reverend Sharpton, 12 days away from the next U.S. election. How are you feeling?
Well, I think that if we do not see any major blunders tonight or after tonight by Joe Biden, that Donald Trump will probably be defeated. I think the way he mishandled COVID-19, the coronavirus, and admitted on tape with an interview with Woodward, who wrote the book, that he was in fact informed of the seriousness of it in late January. And he kept saying all the way to March that it was not as significant as it was and it would go away. I think that will come to haunt him. It devastated the economy, so whatever economic gains he was going to take credit for has been undone. And race relations has gone to a fever pitch in the wrong direction for the sitting president. With all of the police shootings from George Floyd to Breonna Taylor to Rashid Brooks, on, that his Justice Department has not handled, and that people have been in the streets, blacks and whites, marching. Many of us, all the way through, 200,000 of us marched on Washington August 28th. People are seeing a sense of losing loved ones and losing the coming together of the races in the country. He has a lot that he could not explain, which is why I think tonight's debate is going to be very interesting on how he can handle and defend all of that, while at the same time, he is prone to be just attacking Joe Biden, who was not the president during this time.
What question do you think the candidates should have to answer tonight about race in America?
How they will be able to give equal protection under the law, and how they will reform policing. All police are not bad, most are not. But how are you going to handle making sure that police are held accountable for their actions, that they're not above the law, but that they're subject to the law without undermining policing where we have crime?
What do you think, Reverend Sharpton, is the underlying problem that's manifesting itself in your police forces and everywhere else that has to be solved in your country?
I think that the solution must be that police must be subjected to following the law. And when they break the law, they must be very publicly held accountable, where people will see that they are the ones that uphold the law, not violate the law, and given that with immunity.
The U.S. president is someone that you have known for years. How would you describe him?
He's very narcissistic. It's all about him. I don't think he has a real political ideology or belief. I think it's all about him, brand support, brand promotion. And I think that is his undoing, because I think that by going for what is at the moment appears to be his advantage, he does not look down the road of what it does to impact the people. And I think the people are going to rebel at the polls. There's early voting going on all over the country, and the trend seems to be against him, with millions of people that have already voted.
Yeah, 47 million people have voted already, and a very small minority of people in the United States who haven't made up their mind, who are waiting until Election Day. Is the president racist?
I think he is. When you look at a president that has appointed 200 federal judges, 200, and a federal judge in the United States is a lifetime appointment. He's not appointed one black. When you look at a president who rose in his political career saying that the first and so far only black president is not really American. He was born in Kenya, when all of the evidence shows he was born in the state of Hawaii, which is an American state. He's built his whole political career on us against them. All of the white militia groups that we have been warned are dangerous are saying they're Trump supporters. He's not denounced them. In the first debate, when he was confronted about one of those groups, he says they should stand by. How do you not just denounce them outright? I think that you cannot be comfortable with racists unless you are a racist yourself.
And yet, during the Republican convention, we saw a number of prominent Black Americans come out and speak in favor of Donald Trump. How much support is there for him or not for him within the African American community?
Very little. I think that you saw some prominent blacks in the Republican Party, but they will not bring out a large black vote. There is a substantive difference between leading blacks and black leaders. He had people that are leading blacks, but they're not leading black people.
What does that mean?
That means they don't have a following. That means that they are speaking for a very small percentage of blacks, and they do not speak for those of the en masse that are outraged by what has happened over this summer with police cases and other cases that this administration has not dealt with in any substantive way. President Trump just had them remove any racial sensitivity classes from federal agencies. How do you stand up and say this man is fair when he doesn't even want them to deal with the sensitivity issue of racism in federal agencies that has been done for years?
How would you characterize Joe Biden?
I think Joe Biden is a centrist Democrat. He certainly is not on the left wing, but he's not offensive. There are things he's done that we disagree with, but he's admitted that some of them have had unintended consequences in his mind, and that he's willing to sit down and work toward a lot of those issues that we may disagree with. And he's began doing that. Donald Trump has said he's right and he's never going to be wrong, and he's never apologized or even took a step back to say, let's discuss this. And there's a big difference. So sometimes you may not get all you want in a candidate, but if he's better than what you have, you'd rather take 2 steps forward than end up continuing going backwards.
So as you said, this election, comes as the United States in the last couple of years faces a reckoning with race relations with the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake. Many people all over the world, including in Canada, have been motivated to look at their own societies because of this. Do you think that you're on the precipice of peace here or potentially more chaos?
I think that you could be on the precipice of peace if we get justice, if we get fairness, if everyone feels that there's equal protection under the law. There's a difference between peace and quiet. Peace means the presence of justice. Peace means the presence of an even and equal playing field. Quiet means the protest and the noise just stop. Most people are trying to just get quiet, not peace, which means it can erupt any time until you have the presence of fairness. That will bring peace.
When you're talking now to a Canadian audience. You're a reverend, a man of God. How do you explain where America is today?
We're at the moral crossroads. Are we going to be a country that is fair to everyone? Are we going to be a country that helps provide health care, particularly in a pandemic? Are we a country that's going to stand for values where people can be whoever they were born to be, despite race, gender, or sexual orientation? Or are we going to be a nation that goes for the white, male, wealthy, having the advantage? And I think we're going to make a real statement in the outcome of this election on what road we're going to travel in the United States.
Reverend Al Sharpton, American civil rights activist and founder and president of the National Action Network. Reverend Sharpton, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.